What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Smith Does Games. Hope you're all keeping well. It's a beautiful day here in the southwest of England. I do have some mixed feelings about summer, though. I love the sun, but the annual assault on my sinuses does tend to put a bit of a dampener on things. But the arrival of summer does bring with it E3, which is happening in just 1 week from now. Will be the first conference. The EA Play conference is on the 9th of June. And so what I thought I'd do over the coming week, I've whittled down the 7 games that I am most looking forward to from E3 this year, and every day I'm going to be putting up a new video discussing one of them. So I've broken this down into there's 3 games that have been announced and I'm excited to learn more about. There's 3 games that haven't yet been announced, but we can take a pretty safe bet they're being worked on, and I hope to see them announced. And then I've got one kind of pie in the sky hope for the final day, which I don't see is going to happen, but it'd be a bit of fun to talk about anyway. So first up, as you may have guessed from the title of the video, is Halo 6. That's the game I'm going to be talking about today. Obviously, this falls into the unannounced camp, but I think it's a pretty safe bet that this is being worked on in some capacity. And I really think, for a start, I think Microsoft really maybe needs to announce this year. Microsoft are in a bit of a rough spot, have been almost the whole generation in terms of their exclusives, and Halo is their big one. Gears of War definitely doesn't cut it anymore. It wouldn't surprise me to see a Gears of War 5 announcement, but I can't see that drum that much excitement. I think that series got quite stale. But I do think that a Halo 6 announcement could inject some enthusiasm into Microsoft and their exclusives. Now, obviously, there is the question of the Play Anywhere thing that Microsoft are doing with the PC as well. So, actually, it may end up being, it's not such a big win for Xbox, but just a win for Microsoft in general. But I mean, we can only wait and see. So what I wanted to do was just talk about where I am with the Halo franchise and kind of what I want to see from Halo 6, what I hope gets shown. So, like I said, I hope it gets announced, first of all, and it'd be great to see some kind of gameplay as well. I don't want one of those announcements of, here's a game which you might get one day in about 5-6 years. It'd be nice to see them announce something that's pretty far along and maybe ready to release within the next 12 months or so, and have some gameplay to go along with it would be really, really good. So I suppose I'm a little bit unusual in the kind of Halo community, as it were, because I never really played much of the Halo games until this latest one, Halo 5. I dabbled in a bit of Halo 3 back in the Xbox 360 days, but I was always more of a Call of Duty person at that point, and so I didn't play too much of it. Halo 4 I played through the campaign of, and I touched online a little bit, but as many of you probably know if you've played Halo 4 had its issues online. And then Halo 5 was the first one that I've really sunk any decent amount of time into, and campaign disappointments aside, I think Halo 5 is really excellent. I think it's some of the best multiplayer the series has ever had, and this isn't going to be a video about whether Sprint deserves to be in the game or all that sort of stuff. There's enough of that, I think, among the Halo community. But overall, I just think Halo 5 plays really well. Multiplayer, I think the guns are fairly well balanced for the most part. I think the pace of the game is really good. And like I said, it's the first one I've ever really got into, so perhaps that's why I am so fond of it. Maybe if I had spent more time with Halo 3, I would be one of those people that feels like not my Halo kind of person. But yeah, so I'm really hoping that Halo 6 comes out, and I was trying to get some gameplay for Halo 5 for this video, and it'd been quite a while since I'd played the game, and I found it really difficult to find a match. I don't know if this is just an EU server thing, I don't know if it's maybe more populated in North America, but it really feels like people have fallen off of Halo 5. It'll be nice to see that community come back if we could even approach the kind of popularity that the franchise had back in the Halo 3 days. That would just be incredible. And so, what form do I want Halo 6 to take? I think for those people that care for it, I hope there's a pretty decent campaign, and just bring split screen back. It doesn't bother me. I'm probably not even going to play the campaign, even if you've got to have the campaign in 30 frames per second on the Xbox, just to put it in split screen, and then keep multiplayer in 60 frames per second. Then just do that. As much as anything, I want that just so I don't have to hear a bunch of people moaning about the lack of split screen in campaign, as though that was actually what Halo was all about. But for me, put a campaign in it, fine. Maybe ideally make it better than Halo 5's, again, fine. That's not what I'm in it for. I'm more interested in the multiplayer side of things. And honestly, I think the Halo 5 engine is a really good multiplayer engine. I think it generally, I haven't suffered too many problems with lag with this game or input delay or anything. I think the 60 frames per second is really nice. And generally, I think the game plays really well. I would happily see the removal of certain Spartan abilities. I don't think Ground Pound is too egregious, but the Spartan Charge is awful. I haven't had a chance to play the game much since they brought in the new HCS settings, where they've taken out Ground Pound and Spartan Charge, but I can see myself enjoying that quite a bit more. And so I hope Halo 6 goes that way fully. Just take them out of the game. Or if you're going to have that kind of stuff in the game, just keep it to like the Warzone stuff or something like that. The arena, I don't think the Spartan Charge has any place in competitive arena, to be honest. As for the sprint debate, like I say, this isn't a video that's going to go into that much. The way I see it, I don't mind either way. I think as long as the game plays well and the maps are designed with either sprint in mind if it's there, or without sprint in mind if it's not there, makes no real difference to me. A part of me wants to say I kind of want them just to go back to a classic style with no sprint, simply because I think that will bring a lot of old Halo players back into the game, and a bigger population is just good for everybody. So if it's going to appease those people, just take it out. I don't think it adds much to the game. I personally don't think it takes much away, but there are people that feel differently. So if that's going to appease them, go ahead and get rid of sprint. Now, how likely is this announcement going to be? I don't know. I think it could happen. I think Microsoft probably knows they need a bit of a win, and we haven't heard anything about a mainline Halo entry for a long time. So I think it could definitely get teased at the very least, or it could be a major announcement at the Microsoft conference, and I really hope so. I feel like at the moment the console space is missing a really competitive shooter, and I think Halo can definitely be that. And in a lot of ways, I think Halo 5 is that. It didn't connect with the community in the way that perhaps 343 and Microsoft would have wanted it to, and I do hope that something gets announced. This does feel like a bit of a crucial moment for franchise history, though. It does feel like a kind of a do-or-die moment. Halo 4 definitely turned a lot of people off from the franchise, and I think Halo 5 won some people back, and for others, they saw it as 343 kind of doubling down on the things they didn't like about Halo 4. I don't personally think that criticism is very fair, because Halo 4 had all sorts of strange design decisions, like the ordnance drops and stuff like that. It just didn't feel like a Halo game, really. But Halo 5, I think the multiplayer is balanced and competitive, is about as competitive as I've seen a Halo game be. Like I say, my experience with the franchise is limited though, so take that with a grain of salt. But I really think there is a fantastic game in there that can please everybody, or almost everybody, with Halo 6. I think there's a lot of good classic design decisions from sort of your Halo 2, Halo 3 multiplayer, and I think there's a lot of modern tweaks to it with Halo 5, and I think, like I say, the engine is as good as it's ever been. So I think there's something in there. There is a game in there when you bring everything together that could really restore Halo back to its kind of perch atop the shooter genre. Whether they're going to get that balance right, though, is obviously another question, and I do think it's quite a tightrope walk for them. Of course, I mean, there is, I suppose, the possibility that Halo feels like a last-gen franchise, and maybe it will never be back atop its perch. But I hope not. I think, as somebody who kind of, I suppose, picked the wrong time to get into the series, it was something that never really interested me too much in my younger years, and actually now it's something I'm really excited for, and it feels like I've just picked the time when it's kind of like in its dying embers to get involved. But that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a good Halo 6 announcement. That's one of my 7 games, and I hope that it is a game that can bring the community back, and I hope it's a game that thrives on release so that everybody can get back into some competitive Halo. But let me know what you think. What games are you looking forward to most at E3? Whether that's games you hope to see announced, or games that you just want to learn more about. And what are you thinking about Halo 6? Are you a Halo 5 fan? Did Halo 5 turn you off? And kind of what do you want to see from the next entry of the franchise? I'll be back tomorrow to talk about another game which has already been announced that I am just very keen to hear more about. So I hope you stay well till then, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.